Have to wait today. Let's quickly go to Abuja to introduce our other guest. Chamberlain.
Agbero Byron, who is the Director of Operations, Obi-Datti Campaign Organization. Good morning and thank you for coming on the program today.
Good morning, Chamberlain. Thank you for having me.
You have been a former presidential aspirant. Candidate yourself for Kowa Party.
Yes.
And you've gone through all the rigors. Yes. You know what this entails to be a president and or to contest for that office. Yeah. And you put in a lot from the get-go. But there are many who think that they don't quite see that the Labour Party candidate set out to achieve that. Some think it was a fallout of what transpired in the PDP, and that's how his position came through.
Well, the people who say that seem to be a bit short of memory. You would recall that sometime in July last year, the Southern governors came down to say that the presidency must be zoned to the South. Peter Obi was in the PDP at that time, and the expectation was that the presidency in the PDP will be zoned to the South. And if the presidency were to be zoned to the South, a number of us true federalists, people who thoroughly believe in federalism, do not believe it's just north-south. Because if you strictly zone the presidency to the north and to the south, forever, you will either get a Fulani man, a Hausa Fulani man, or a Yoruba man. If it is strictly north and south, you permanently exclude the middle belt, you permanently exclude the southern minorities. So the only realistic way, and this is the difference between those who believe in restructuring truly and who believe in federalism, is the disaggregation of this country along the 6 geopolitical zones. And if you do that analysis, you will see that if the presidency should be zoned to the south, it should be zoned to the southeast. And this is why Afenifere were very, very clear and unambiguous when they said, look, for Nigeria to move to the next step, the first step we must take must be the step of justice and inclusion. The step of social justice and inclusion. Justice must be done to all Nigerians. Sorry, just to chip in something. Democracy is not government of the majority by the majority for the majority. It's government of the people by the people for the people, which includes minorities, includes small groups. It's all about inclusion. And so Obi wanted to be president from the outset. He had that mind, he had the framework, he had the capacity. And so all the stories that it was an aftermath of Atiku is just, Atiku himself said that he expected, the only reason why he entered that race was because it was not zoned to the southeast specifically. And that after the southeast, it is the northeast that is most disenfranchised from the central position of power since 1999.
But, you know, one of the things that your candidate, the candidate of the Labour Party, yes, has talked about is that nobody should vote for him based on ethnic considerations.
That is true, which means, it simply means that don't vote for me because I'm an Igbo man. Vote for me because I'm competent. He didn't say that there's no agreement that you shouldn't vote for him or that the zoning shouldn't come to him.
Yeah, but wouldn't that also mean do not vote for me because it is the turn of the southeast?
Well, it is a question of semantic and how you place it. There are different categories. There are different steps to achieving. Number one, in the first place, somebody who is under 18 cannot vote for the president. So that's one level of qualifier. There are further levels of qualifier. You must have your school cert. That's another level of qualifier. There must be other levels of qualifier. Now, because Nigeria needs to be politically savvy and politically sensitive and inclusive, you see, our problems, right, are not unconnected with bad leadership, not unconnected with a governance deficiency that has the lack of inclusion in all our mix. So when we cross, you see, zoning to the southeast is first crossing the benchmark of inclusion. And then after that, then we will look at, it's like saying you want to zone. Yes, you will want to zone, but even after you zone, you look at merit. So we are not saying zone for zoning's sake. We are saying zoning, and Peter Obi has said, look, beyond that, look, any Easterner could have come out, but any Easterner would not have been voted for. We are saying vote for the man based on his competence. However, Nigeria should do justice to its own self. When we exclude the Southeast, we are not we are not doing the Southeast a favor by excluding the Southeast. We are doing ourselves a favor by excluding certain people.
But we've had people who, till tomorrow, they keep saying, look, they're struggling to see his path to victory.
Yes.
They talk about the dominant political parties who've been in the trenches for a while. If you look at the candidates of the APC and the PDP, you've seen how they've been angling for this particular seat, this position for a very, very long time.
Yes.
So they must have gathered a lot of momentum, the critical mass, and perhaps the wherewithal. It could be contentious, but they still wonder, where is his path to victory?
Yes, many people wonder where this movement is coming from.
Where
the organic movement is coming from. I'll tell you something, right? I give it to credit to the APC, to the PDP. APC itself, when was it formed? When did it become? When did it get into power? When was it formed? AC and CPC joined together in 2013, 2014. They got into the power in 2015. So that is just...
No, is it just about when it was formed or the foothold that they have in the different parts of the country, how they can generate the vote? They can tell you the calculations and how it can come, but can the same thing be said of the Labour Party?
It does not work mathematically like that all the time. What we have now is a movement of people, a movement of Nigerians, of which Peter Obi only symbolizes. He symbolizes it by his character, by his competence, by his capability, right? It's a fulcrum. A number of us tried to do it in 2019 when we knew where Nigeria was going to and we won, and out of frustration, a number of us decided we must contest and show that something needs to be done.
But you also saw while you contested that you needed to have a foothold to win elections.
Absolutely, because it was probably not our time. I think the fruit had not been matured. But there's a difference between a political party and a political movement. And this is where people come and say structures or no structures.
What is the difference?
Movements don't have structures. If it is a true movement, it is organic. The structure will emerge later on. The structure will come out of the movement. And this is precisely what is happening. And if people don't say that, this race is a marathon, it's not a sprint. Our own, when we ran, we finished our primaries in November. We were asked to jump and start voting in February. We weren't even given time to raise funds. We weren't even given time to be recognized.
And speaking about funds,
yes, please.
I mean, not just in this country, but globally, you know that to run a campaign or election, that you need a deep pocket.
Yes, you need a pocket.
Does your candidate, does your party have that deep pocket to prosecute this campaign?
We have a pocket that is deep enough. But what you should find out is, you see, there is difference between spending money on an election and having value for money for what you spend. If you know our principle
that's relative for political parties, I guess.
Well,
in terms
it
of
is relative for political parties, but political parties that behave in a certain way cannot behave differently when they get into government. When you spend money anyhow, as a political party to run, when you buy votes, when you have to depend on how much you spend and how much you blow and how much you bribe and how much you spill over to people, when you are running for president, it is easy to know how you will run government when you get there. It is very easy. And consistently, I have been in politics for over 40 years in this country. And I know what it is. It is systematic, it is predictable. You will predict. Apart from that, I'm a governance specialist. I'm a development specialist. We work on data. A person who has to bribe 5,000 naira to 10,000 naira to get people to vote will never ever pray that the value of that human being that he has to give 5,000 naira, he will never pray that that person is worth more than the 5,000 naira he gives him. So tell me, how will he perform or how will he deliver governance in such a way that the life of that person will be improved? It is not possible. So if Nigerians won't let them continue to believe in these people who throw money around as if, as a matter of fact, the money you're throwing around, what's the worth and what's the value today? But they believe in throwing money around, but they don't believe in the value of the Nigerian life. For as long as we do not believe that it is human development, it is the value of the Nigerian life that matters, right? The value of your naira will go no down as what is done. So for us, that is not our style. We are going to change that style. And Nigerians better know that that style had better be buried and dead Otherwise, Nigeria would not get out of the doldrums. So when the time for spending money will come, we will spend the money.
Hasn't it come already?
You spend gradually, and you know what you want to spend for. You don't just throw money around.
I'm just a little curious. So
Yes.
in 2019, you were a presidential candidate,
Yes,
and
I
you
was.
ran against the president, the
Yes.
sitting president. Also in that race were VP Atiku Abubakar
Absolutely.
and Governor Peter Obi, who
Yes.
were both candidate and running mate.
Yes.
At that time, you didn't see his potential?
At that time, I saw the potential of many people.
Okay.
But I also saw the contraption in which they wanted to carry the nation. You see, the candidate is one thing, the vehicle is another.
Okay.
Look at the PDP. I was in the PDP 22 years ago. I contested local government chairmanship in Lagos. PDP is a party that never listens, neither do they ever learn. And I knew that no matter what, check out what Donald Duke said about he said even him, if he were in the PDP, it would be impossible for him to do anything right. Because the structure is constraining. The same with APC. Can you extricate Asiwaju, my senior brother, Bola Tinubu, from the APC?
So let me get this straight. Assuming that Governor Peter Obi had emerged the candidate of the PDP,
yes,
you wouldn't have supported him.
When?
On the platform of the PDP.
When?
For these primaries, for these elections, for the 2023
it probably
elections.
would have been. You see, what we do is that nothing is good or bad except by a comparison. You go with what you have. If there were somebody else that had the possibility. You see, I know a bit about Peter Obi in the sense that I was head of DFID South, including Enugu, especially during the period from Peter Obi's transition to Obienu's transition. I conducted Obienu's first EXCO retreat as head of DFID. So we had known at that time about Peter Obi's capacity to reduce cost of governance, his focus on education and health, which are the key factors for human development. So I've always had no problem with Peter Obi.
Okay, so, but assuming he had emerged on the platform of the PDP,
if he had emerged on the platform of the PDP, if he had emerged on the platform of the PDP this time around, and there was no other person, absolutely I would have supported him 100%.
So let me get this straight now.
But because there was no other, I mean, you go with the, don't forget I said you go with the vehicle that is available.
Okay. Right now you're wearing the pin of the Labour Party.
I am a member of the Labour Party.
Okay.
Proudly so.
Oh, okay.
The vehicle available.
That is the vehicle. That is the vehicle under formation that is available, that is listening to the people, that is moving with the movement, that the youth have accepted, that is giving people space.
Do you think that it will be important? I mean, having been a member of COA, do you think that it will be important for all the other parties, well, the not so big parties, I'm very careful in classifying them now, to partner with the parties that they think could eventually, produce candidates whom they think stand a chance in the elections?
Marco, you're absolutely right. They actually should. They should. But the process is this. Parties either learn or refuse to learn from the mistakes they make. What I get is that a lot of parties, when they have issues, they complain, they go through crises, but as soon as they get into power, they forget all the issues that have been doing them and they never learn and never restructure or never have a... COA party had its own issues. Unfortunately, INEC has erased us from recording. There are other parties too. There's something called strategic alliances. When a party demonstrates that, look, it has certain things. It's not about one party or the other. It's about Nigeria and how we deliver good governance to Nigerians.
Well, you have said PDP doesn't learn.
The PDP has not demonstrated that they learn or listen, or otherwise they wouldn't be having this kind of crisis they're having now.